Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How are my peeps doing? Let me get to that screen and see how my personaje, ¿cómo están mis personas aquí? How are my people doing? Great, great. A lot of folks in the chat already. Hello, AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. We also have in the house Patrick Magner says meow from Houston, Texas. We also have in the house Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. And of course, Joanne from Los Angeles, California. In the house as well is the beautiful Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. And from Austin, Texas, Lee the Bearcat. And of course, in the house is Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood. We also have Lee Grant from Montgomery County. Hey, my mind's working and clicking today. Maybe it's an extra boost, man. Anyway, we're going to have a great show. Let's see. Egberto, read this. This is how MAGA works. Is it something for the screen? Is it something for the screen? It is something for the screen. So guess who got first billing today? The one and only Bridge MCP, whose billing is on the screen. Bridge, let me know. Let's see what we've got here. It says as follows. Para ver. This is a cat with Donald. For the people that are listening on the podcast, Donald Trump is showing his MAGA base. This is a cat. He's really showing a duck. And then you have all the MAGA people looking and saying, yeah, that is a cat. So Donald Trump speaks, and folks decide to disregard their what they have to say. Let's see if that person that you're speaking about, O'Leary, is the millionaire. I think he's maybe worth a couple of $1 billion. I have zero respect for O'Leary. He doesn't have a lot upstairs. Remember, having a lot of capital does not equate to having sense. Otherwise, there is a note that a professor, one of my professor buddies that was an activist with me, what I'm going to do is maybe I'll go ahead and try to get, I'm going to try to pull those up. Actually, I know where it's at. I don't have to bring that other program up. I can bring that up elsewhere. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. Let's see if I have anything to read from ABQ. Nothing yet. Michael says, one for the screen. Oh, you were before Bridge, and I put Bridge up first. Well, you know what, though? Even though I'm a women liber kind of guy, she took first billing, Michael. What can I say? All right, let's get Bridge's piece up there. Bridge's piece says the following. Let's see. All right, this is actually Michael's piece. Americans for Fairness report. $80 trillion has been redistributed from the bottom 90% of Americans to the top 1% since 1975. In 2023 alone, the upward redistribution was $3.9 trillion. That's enough to give every full-time worker in the bottom 90% a $32,000 a year raise. Trickle down is a scam. Look, it has always been a scam, and it's something we've been trying to instruct and teach for those who are willing to indoctrinate themselves. That is what we preach over and over and over again, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you for that snippet there, Senor Rudnin. All right, let's see what we got here of notice here. Para ver, O'Leary is not smart at all. Eric, I'm not going to discuss that at all. I've seen him, listened to him, watched him. And the poor thing, we have to change the paradigm. We have to change a paradigm where people are compensated for what they're worth. We have to change a paradigm so that the person who actually creates something is the one who benefits from it. Let's give a great example. Farmers are, and I wish more farmers would actually start having faith in themselves. I wish more farmers would realize that they are the ones of power. Even from the inception of this country, the people who brought the products over on the ship and the negotiators are the one who made the money. The farmers went ahead and they tilled the land, they made things happen, but they were never rewarded as they should, and somehow they are in the thralls of the Republican Party, which makes absolutely no sense because, again, they are not awarded their worth. I mean, if I were to go ahead and cut out an island, let's say in San Blas Colon, Panama, a tropical island, and I put a farmer and I put a stockbroker on that island, and I went back and I in the same island, but they are separated from each other and they cannot communicate. I can almost guarantee you the farmer will be alive, and I can almost guarantee you the stockbroker will be dead. So you have to ask yourself, who is worth what? When it comes to teachers, teachers move knowledge forward. The reason I knew about assembly language programming is some professor who knew how to bit bang moved it forward and taught me and wrote books that I used to learn. The reason I could write assembly language and and all these other languages on the computer systems, some professor in the back of me, older than I am, somebody who wrote a book that I took of, I was able to build on that. That's how I learned. Teachers, the likely one of the, not likely, absolutely one of the most important professions, yet they're not rewarded with what they're worth. But the stockbroker who creates nothing, moves paper, they go to these expensive lunches and talk about the EBITDA and all this crap that makes no sense, right? Look, I understand all of that. I understand all of that. It's basic arithmetic. There's no thinkiology to it. But they're the ones who make the bucks, right? We have got to get smart. We have got to get intelligent. We have got to start realizing things. Now, let me get to the first item in our program today. Article from let me get to Common Dreams. Or did I can just bring that over from here. Common Dreams article. Everyone needs to call their Democratic senator right now to stop Republican funded. There is a serious danger. Let me put that on the screen for a little bit. There is a serious danger right now to stop Republican funding disaster. There is a very serious danger that Senate Democrats are on the verge of folding, said the leader of one progressive advocacy group. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and grassroots organizers were among those urging Americans to call their Democratic senator on Wednesday and demand that they vote against a Republican funding bill that would bolster the Trump administration's assault on the federal government and working class. Everyone needs to call their Democratic senator right now. They're starting to cave. Ocasio-Cortez warned in a social media post, alluding to the comments from some Senate Democrats indicating that they could support the government funding program package that Republicans rammed through the House on Tuesday. It should be very clear to every Senate Democrat that any vote for cloture will also be considered a vote for the bill. She added, referring to the process of ending debate on legislation. According to Punchbowl, one unnamed Democratic senator suggested a group of Democrats could vote with Republicans to end debate, which would mean the bill needs just a simple majority and only GOP votes to pass. People aren't going to be tricked with procedural games, Ocasio-Cortez wrote. They know exactly what is going on. Defend Medicaid, vote no on cloture, no on the bill. People want to call their senators, wanting to call their senators can use the United States Capitol switchboard. Here's the number: 202-224-3121. I repeat, 202-224-3121. If you're on here right now, call. You may be on hold for a while. Call your Democratic senator. Democratic senators who are undecided on the funding package, according to one tally, includes Mark Warner, Democrat of Virginia; Mark Kelly, Democrat of Arizona; Ruben Gallego, Democrat of Arizona; John Ossoff, Democrat of Georgia; Elissa Slotkin, Democrat of Michigan; Gary Peters, Democrat of Michigan; Maggie Hassan, Democrat of New Hampshire; Michael Bennett, Democrat of Colorado; John Hickenlooper, Democrat of Colorado; Senator Angus King, Independent of Maine, who caucuses with Democrats, has also not said which way he will vote. Folks, here is the deal. Well, let me finish reading pieces of the article. Senate Republicans will likely need at least 8 Democrats to support the 6-month funding measure, which calls for $13 billion in cuts to non-military spending and $6 billion increase in military outlets. So here's it. We have a temporary funding bill. It should just be a temporary funding thing. But within that bill, we cut $13 billion for people. All right. Opponents of the bill say the package would effectively create a slush fund for President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk by giving them wide discretion on how the approved funding is spent, which also attacking critical programs. To be clear, this isn't a clean continuing resolution and would keep the government open while they negotiate. It's a slush fund that gives Trump and Elon Musk even more power over federal spending. And let me tell you what else it does, right? It has a clause in there that tells the Congress, we cannot vote on if Trump goes bat, you know what, crazy with tariffs. We cannot do anything about it. We will take away the authority that the Constitution gives us to do something about it. Think about that, folks. That is what the Democratic senators will legitimize if they do that. Okay? Lee Greenberg, the group's co-executive director, wrote on social media that she is hearing from sources that there is a very serious danger that Senate Democrats are on the verge of folding on the MAGA CR and giving up their leverage on the budget. The whispers are we're hearing that key votes might fold are a huge red flag, Greenberg wrote. Call now. Indivisible is specifically demanding that Senate Democrats use their leverage, the threat of a government shutdown, to secure a bill that both rejects extreme funding cuts and MAGA poison pills, attacking abortion rights, LGBTQ plus protections, and immigrant communities, and includes real ironclad protections to stop Trump and Musk from hijacking the federal government. Look, this is not rocket science, and I'm going to explain a few things after this. The government will shut down at midnight on Friday if Congress doesn't pass funding legislation. Democratic appropriators have introduced an alternative measure that would keep the government funded at current levels for another month to give Congress additional time to negotiate full year spending bills, but it is unlikely that Republicans who narrowly control both chambers would support it. But some Senate Democrats appear willing to back the Republican bill. Why? Senator John Fetterman, well, he's no Democrat really, and others have signaled that they're open to supporting it. Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is reportedly taking a neutral position, which is, caucus declining to advise members to vote. He needs to take the leadership position and say absolutely not. All right, this is what drives me crazy. How do you take defeat out of success? Let me explain. The Republican House went ahead and created this bill with zero Democratic input. Zero. They decided what was going to be in that bill in the House, and they passed it. They have a right to pass it, and that's fine. Absolutely fine for them to do that. But that bill has to go to the Senate. And since the Senate under current rules, cannot pass a bill again with 50 plus one votes. They need cloture to start discussing the bill. That means that any bill that is going to pass both houses must have input from both sides of the ledger. Republicans always demanded that. Democrats should demand that as well. In other words, if you want us to vote for a bill that we are going to have to take, that's going to show a yes vote from us, and we are going to have to justify to our constituents, then we have to be also asked about what we want in that bill as well. Otherwise, you're just holding us as slaves as slave for a vote. They should absolutely say no. They should not pass that bill at all. Again, because think about this, right? How only democratic democratic cowardice would allow you to go ahead and say, you know what? You own the House, you own the Senate, you own the presidency. You only need to do minor compromises because you own all of that, but you say zero. And then when if the government closes down, somehow Democrats accept responsibility. That's the excuse that Democrats are using now. They're saying, well, if we don't support it, we are going to be responsible for the shutdown. No, the people responsible for the shutdown are those people who decided not to negotiate with the people whose votes they needed. But let's go a little bit further because this is deeper, much deeper. Over the last 6 weeks, the Democratic establishment failed because what they should have been saying yesterday, today, the day before is, hey, guys, you are working on a bill. You are giving us no opportunity to input. Don't come and ask for a vote. Then you should be on every TV channel. You should be on YouTubes and Twitters and reels and shorts, and you should be saying, hey, the Republicans are attempting to put a bill through that is going to kill Medicare, kill these programs, lay off government workers in your rural communities and all these other communities, and they are not consulting those of us who are trying to protect you. They are not consulting us at all, and then they want our vote. We can't vote for that. So therefore, because we can't vote for that, because they're not consulting us, remember, your Republican senator and Congress people are shutting down your government. They should have been saying this for weeks right now. They should have been on the air, on Twitter, on X, on Blue Sky, everywhere they should be giving this message out. But they sat on their toes and just twiddled their fingers. And when the grassroots are trying to say, do something, they're like, we're doing what we're supposed to do. When we call them spineless, oh, we're not spineless. They are spineless. Our establishment has been proven to be spineless. And if they sign this bill the way this bill is, they would have capitulated completely, and not even spineless, but ribless, femurless, and they would be just a bunch of jelly. Again, spine up. It is important that we do that. So, folks, you have the number to call your congressperson, your senator. It is 202-224-3121. I have 2 Republican senators. I'm still going to call them and let them know this. But remember, also what we spoke about yesterday, you have to get in the game and do all the things we spoke about yesterday, brothers and sisters, in the game. But anyhow, look, I want to play a piece for you. Because as you know, right now, it's the opportune time. They don't need to rush and pass this bill. Okay, we don't need to do that. Because as more MAGA, Trump voting Republicans in very red states, in very red counties, in red states, realize what's happening, they are starting to panic. They are starting to panic. These people, the red MAGA folks, are starting to panic. One of them in the piece that you're going to hear me put out right now actually said, Mike Johnson's constituent says he needs to cross the aisle. This is a MAGA voting Republican who is saying, if you have to cross the aisle to keep our Medicaid, if you have to cross the aisle to keep our SNAP, if you have to cross the aisle to keep our Medicare, do it. That's the marching orders that they are giving their folks now. You know why? Because they're noticing it is starting to happen. Folks, we are in the driver's seat now. But let me go ahead and play that, and then we'll take it on the other side. Well, here's the oops moment we've been waiting for. They went into Mike Johnson's district. You know, the Speaker of the House, you know, the guy who's pretty much terrorizing his own constituents. Well, they went and interviewed a few of his own constituents, and they came out with some interesting stories. You know, folks, these people voted their prejudices. These people voted what they thought would be only afflicting the other people. But I'm going to tell you something about these people and how the media is portraying it after we listen to the folks in his district. This is important, and the characterization of this is important. Yes, Republicans intend to cut your Medicaid. They intend to cut your Medicare. They intend to cut your Social Security. They intend to cut your SNAP. And you know what? Many of their constituencies will snap. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
With only 2 days to avert a government shutdown, a huge unanswered question remains. How much influence will voters have on how Congress proceeds, both on that continuing resolution and ultimately on the budget? Because look what we saw in Speaker Mike Johnson's rural Louisiana district. A massive line outside the food pantry, and his constituents aren't happy with Washington.
Are you aware that they are considering cutting back Medicaid in Congress right now?
I am very much aware, and my children are on Medicaid. So yes, I do. I do fear that very much. The kids here, they rely on that, and we're poverty here.
To help us. Give me one for that. People are hurting out here.
They lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their cars, lost everything basically, and then this is what they depend on to eat.
You may be from Louisiana, but you're the House Speaker. Cross the aisles, do whatever you got to do.
Melanie, although Republicans often deny it, economists say cuts to programs like Medicaid and food stamps are the only way to make the budget work. So again, you're in Speaker Johnson's district, which he won, by the way, with 85% of the vote. What else did his constituents tell you?
Well, there is a lot of fear here in this community about potential cuts to both Medicaid and SNAP. It is a small rural town. A lot of people told me they are struggling right now to pay for groceries, pay for eggs, pay for diapers. They're struggling to find jobs. And so a lot of the residents here have come to rely on government assistance. Also relying on the food bank that we visited yesterday that passes out baskets of free food every week to members of the community. Now, Speaker Mike Johnson has said repeatedly that they're not going to cut Medicaid benefits and that they're only looking to reform the program, including instituting things like work requirements for able-bodied adults on the Medicaid program. But even those types of changes could have devastating impacts for the community here. I talked to Pastor Don Snyder of Christian Life Church. He's one of the founders of the food bank. He runs it every week. And he said the issue is that in a community like Vinton, there are just not a lot of job opportunities and that people don't have cars and don't have public transportation to be able to travel to seek employment elsewhere. I talked to another woman, Summer Stinson, who's from the area as well, a mom of 4. She said her boyfriend does have a job, but he has had his hours cut back. So he might not qualify if they institute certain types of work requirements. So just a lot of concern here. And the residents here in Vinton, VA, on their mind weighing heavily these prospects of potential Medicaid and SNAP cuts.
Some great reporting there, Melanie. Thank you. Joel, do you think these kinds of reactions make it less and less likely there will be cuts to Medicare and Medicaid? Or, I don't know, no matter what, is this an issue Democrats can use to their advantage? How do you see this playing out politically?
Well, Chris, I think it should make it less likely. And, that story that Melanie was reporting on from Speaker Johnson's district, I know, in previous appearances here with you, I've talked about other Republicans like Tom Cullen, Oklahoma. Well, guess what he did? He made a call to the Trump White House and over to DOJ to make sure that they pulled back on some of those cuts that were impacting that community. But not every American has a bat phone to power. Not every American has an opportunity to call the most powerful people in the world to go and get the programs and get the services they need brought back to them. And so I think what you're seeing is a growing fissure, not among Republicans, but among Republican constituents who don't like what they're being delivered in Washington. This is not what they signed up for. When many of these folks voted for Donald Trump, when they voted for folks like Mike Johnson, they did not vote for gutting critical services that they rely upon. They didn't vote on the other things that Trump is focusing on, which I think is why you're seeing in some recent polling and some other recent opinion research that Donald Trump is really struggling with his ratings on the economy. And I think those numbers are only going to continue to crater if Trump, Elon Musk, Mike Johnson, and Republicans continue to target working families like they have been.
Now, here's the deal, folks. I remember when President Clinton, back in the 90s, decided he was going to have welfare reform. And let's be clear. Welfare reform really had a connotation. It had a color attached to it. It had a group of folks attached to it. Because even as what made me so upset when President Clinton signed that welfare reform bill is he had 2 overweight women of color next to him, and putting in people's minds that is what welfare looked like. But also what they did is the way they implemented this welfare reform wasn't a constructive way to pull people out of poverty, but it was always just punitive without any sense of giving folks the ability to move forward, and which would be the same thing that they would be doing now. But there's one thing that always happened to give a better face to welfare reform. Whenever it comes down to writing the laws, the face of welfare changes. If you take a look at this, what we just showed, everyone they showed in this district, they showed our white brothers and sisters, because they understand that in order for people to look at welfare and say, let's be less punitive than we otherwise would be, that is the face they have to show. It is sad, but it's the same thing that I saw back in the 90s. Most people on welfare are white. Most people dependent on the government are white. Even the corporations, SpaceX, and Tesla, all these guys that are sucking on the tits of the government are basically white companies. Yet the impression that everybody wants to give is that somehow welfare is something for the other. Only when it is about to be taken away do they give a semblance of reality to welfare. What we've always said, folks, is that prejudice and racism affects mostly those who are effectuating prejudice and racism. Because now, if we had not had an election that was based on prejudice, because remember, when the policies of Kamala Harris was placed against the policies of Donald Trump without putting a name onto it and polling was done, people wanted the policies that Kamala Harris was putting out there. But as soon as we attached the person to the policies, suddenly things changed. Not dramatically. Well, let's back up. It changed dramatically, but the voting, again, was still close. What I'm trying to say here, folks, is the following. What Republicans are doing will affect the people in rural areas. It will affect a lot of our white brothers and sisters more than anybody else. Look, people of color are used to having a hard time. They're used to having it hard, a hard life. They're used to all these things. So a little bit more pain is modus operandi. But for a lot of what's happening right now with the news, what I call the new antiseptic slavery, things that a particular group in our society were never used to. But because we continue to move our capital upward, our monies upward, eventually you run out of people to rob from. You run out of people, and then you are now the prey. We have to be in this together. The race thing is a stupid concept, a social concept that is used to keep us apart and then have them take it all from us. We have to wise up. Appalachia, the ghettos, the barrios, the urbs, the suburbs, the exurbs, the rural areas. We have got to wise up, because all these isms are used to keep us apart so that they can do exactly what they're doing, folks. Get it in your heads. We are in the same boat, and it's the boat that the plutocracy has thrown us in with partitions. So if we really want to save this country, if you really want to save a good lifestyle for those good people that you see out there who made that mistake of allowing their prejudice to elect a thug, then we've got to work together. Then we have got to do this together. You have got to call your Congress people. You've got to be out there in your congressperson's district. You have got to be in the streets when it's called upon. You have got to do what you've got to do, because it's on you. Democrats, the leadership, the establishment ain't coming to save you. They are spineless. The establishment is spineless. They should be out there shouting and teaching and shouting and let people know what's going on. And that's not what we're hearing. It's on you. It's on the activists. It's on the people. It's on the individual.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Hey, let's see. We're back. Anyway, folks, look, Bridge MCP says, Egberto, Dems are holding town halls close to the Republicans and Rep are flooding the town halls. So many of them. And look at Bernie, 10K plus people, and Warren is as well. Republicans are showing up in droves. Yes, they are. They're starting to realize that they are the prey. They are starting to realize that, they're coming for us now. But we told you so, right? We told you they were coming for you. But let me tell you what I think is apropos, however, Bridge, and I don't see Democrats doing that. Right now, there are a lot of progressive organizations trying to get Democrats to run, even in these deep red states, right? If I were these Democrats in these deep red states, I would do the following because they're not going to have town halls. They can't have town halls. I would start saying, I am running against XYZ and I am going to have the town hall. And I would come with all the paperwork. I mean, look, Democrats and too often don't know how to fight, right? I would get all the bills that are coming together right now that are screwing these people. All the bills in the red districts created by red district Republican MAGA politicians. I would go into their districts and call town halls, and I would come with all the graphics. I would come with a mobile electronic whiteboard. Well, not a whiteboard, a mobile electronic display that I can show things over and over again. And then what I'll do is I'll put things on the screen and tell them, hey, if you don't, for those of you that don't believe me now, take a picture of it and go validate it. Take a picture, come with solid information and say, and by the way, guys, I am running in your district for the 2026 election. I am coming in here to earn your vote. This is what they are doing to you, and this is what I will do for you. I think it is time, not yesterday, it is time to start doing that now. Going into the communities, going to the little shops, and those of us that are those people that are running, it is incumbent on us to start fundraising for them, right? Look, we pick somebody that is viable for each one of these districts and tell them, hey, we're going to support you. We're going to buy you the equipment for you to go around, and you spend the whole 18 months going around every part of that district. If you have to set up outside in the middle of the night, do so and start mobilizing. Every single Republican district should have the Democratic opponent starting to campaign right now by giving them the ways in which Doge, the way in which MAGA Republicans are going to destroy their lives. And let them see the evidence and allow them to take pictures of the evidence. Welcome aboard E2247. Great to see you here. Welcome aboard May Wood from Long Beach, California. Welcome to see you here. Let's see what else we have. E2247 says siphon is a tube bent to form two legs of equal length by which the liquid may be transferred. Generally speaking, it's one is longer than the other, though, if I recall correctly, the way it actually works. I could be wrong, but I thought that's how it always was. All right. Let's see what else we got here that I need to read. Also, a siphon is any of various tubular organs in animals, and especially mollusks or arthropods that are used for drawing in or ejecting fluids. Okay, learn something every day. Cut in California vaccine programs, gone. Wow, funny. All right, let's continue here. Continue. I'm scrolling down. Oh, we've got a Tom Zornick limerick. Let's go ahead and get busy with Tom Zornick's limerick. I'm going to do it on the first try. Ready to go? Here we go. All of us must take a stand for victory. Step up or be damned by history. So independents and Democrats, don't worry about how you're dressed or what's right to wear. Just put on your protest hats and show that you care. For this is not a test. There is no time to rest or be depressed. When Trump attacks, point and shout. Then turn your backs and walk out. Just like Congress, Rep. Al Green, you'll be seen as brave and not a slave to the chains of those who refuse to use their brains. Be loud and proud, for silence goes unheeded. A real protest now is needed. Mightier than the pen or sword, so strong it can't be ignored for long. These are desperate times. Don't be silent, mimes, or hold up signs that no one sees or reads. What America needs now is righteous anger and passion, less words and more deeds that promote empathy and compassion for victims of Trump's trickery and MAGA misery. Once again, our poet laureate, Tom Zarnick, knocks it out of the park. Out of the park. I love it. I love it. And right in time for our times, Tom. Right in time for our times. Okay, E2247 says, Egberto, address the most important ongoing 5-alarm fire, that is the seizure, caging, and potential deportation of political prisoner Mahmoud Kali, as well as the coalescent legal challenges to it. You know, I was a green card holder, and if you had told me that the Secretary of State had a almost absolute power to say, I am a danger to this society, I would have been shocked. And I don't know what the rules are exactly, but I imagine there could be legal arguments made to make that unconstitutional, and that's what I hope is going to get done, right? Khalil, you know, I saw in the chat here that Lee Grant says, given that he's a resident, maybe you don't mind him being placed in a jail in the United States. My question to Lee Grant, jail for what? Jail for what? Jail for being a humane human being? Jail for saying that what's occurring in Gaza is genocide? Jail for what? Look, I am a supporter of Jews and Gentiles alike, Muslims and all alike. But murder, genocide is one thing. Bruce Pollard is in the house. How you doing, Bruce? Welcome aboard. And for him to protest in the land of liberty, supposedly, of freedom, supposedly, for an injustice and a criminality and genocide that is occurring in Gaza. If he did say something about that, being Palestinian himself, who the hell else is going to say it? Please tell me who the hell else is going to say it. My brother Ray Brackens, welcome to Politics Done Right. Love having you here, sir. Talk to me.
Good afternoon, my brother. I wanted to see if you got that email I sent from Brother Trump about the Canada tariffs.
I just read it. I just read the email, and I was trying to get a hard copy of it so I can show the screen. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just read it. I just got it, in fact, while I was playing the video, and I was going to discuss it afterwards. But let's go ahead and do that since you're calling, because I think, do you have it in front of you right now? I got it. Let me pull it up. It says the following. I'm not going to read the montage of what Donald Trump placed there, right? Actually, there may be a way for me to do it. But let me just put the sentence that should concern all of us. And it says the following. Let me save this off first. The sentence says the following. The only thing that makes sense is for Canada to become our cherished 51st state. That is after he's justifying his 25% tariff, etc. This guy, I wonder if I can put it.
Yeah. So the thing about it is that disturbs me deeply, because a lot of people who, support Trump say, well, he hasn't had any wars. He hasn't. See, the thing about that is Trump, this was given to me by a friend in my Facebook inbox, and it was like, you know what? It makes so much sense now. Trump doesn't want to have war by way of guns and bombs. The trade war is the weapon of choice for Donald Trump. And what he's trying to do clearly here is he's trying to extort Canada and Canadians into falling into his trap of saying, okay, we've had enough. We don't want the tariffs anymore. Let's just become the 51st state. That's what he's hoping for, or that's what he's basically pushing for, and it's sickening because I
It
don't
is.
know what the end result of that is.
It
And
is
then
not only
those poor
it is not
people.
only sickening. It's not only sickening, it's dumb because that ain't gonna happen. And he should know that no country is gonna give up their sovereignty to Donald Trump. Now, he can try to wage a war against it, and it would be interesting because I don't know that the American soldiers are gonna go in and start bombing Ottawa. I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna bomb Toronto and Toronto, Ottawa, or any of these New England or any one of these places, you know. So
I mean, we like to hope so, but but Hegseth is the head of the defense. I don't know, Egberto. You know, it's so unpredictable. But the fact that that's the road that he's taken is sickening, and it's like basically there's people who actually have livelihoods in the balance because they have people that rely on the energy trade that happens in I think is it Ontario, and the premier had
hmm
said if you don't stop with this, we're gonna raise our tariffs to 50%. You know, and we may just cut off the electricity to those states if this doesn't cease. And I don't think that Trump wants the smoke that's going to bring. I just want to say New York and Michigan and I think
and
Minnesota.
Minnesota,
Yeah,
yeah,
those
those three
states are
states.
really close to Washington D.C. I'm just saying if he don't want that smoke, he might want to put out that fire.
You know what is interesting about that, right? And this is where I don't know what kind of doctrine he would try to impose there, right? But the United States once put out a doctrine that said anybody who'd stop the supply of oil to the United States have pretty much declared war on the United States, and the United States has a right to go in and pretty much do what's necessary to restore that, right? My gut feeling is I haven't read any part of the Project 2025 to see if that was in the cards. I didn't realize any of this international stuff was a part of it other than tariffs, but we'll see what happens, right? Uh, if he attempts to do that, I think we have a revolt in the United States, which then I think turns into martial law. And I did a piece earlier today. I'm going to cut it out on my morning show. Were you there for the morning show today?
I didn't catch it today.
Right.
No.
Okay. So let me tell you why. Because I'm glad I'm going to put that video out later on today. Because what we have is a professor, one of my not my professor. Well, actually, I got to call him my professor too. Friend of mine who teaches at the college. He sent me some Substacks to read about the things that Trump's really doing, right? There are things like, and I spoke about it. So what I'm going to do is prepare that video and for all to see later on today. But anyway, anything else, Ray, before we continue?
Yeah, I had made an effort to call Senators Cornyn and Cruz, as
hmm
you were talking through the show. I know they're not Democratic, but damn it, we are their constituents. And,
Absolutely.
the people on the phone, I think I called their Austin office. If
Hold
anybody
one
wants,
second, Ray. Let me tie the calls in. All right, are you there? Whoops, I got another one to tie in as well. Okay, great. This is going to be great. Let me tie all these guys in. All right, let's
okay.
see. Are you there, Patrick? Or this is Breed, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me tie the rest in. All right, let's see if we have our compundian right now. Do I have Bridge on the line?
Yes, you do.
Do I have Patrick on the line?
I thought it was Ray. Jay.
Ray, do I have you on the line? Okay, let's try again. Okay, bear with me, guys. I think I need to do something. This is the first time to recall it. Okay, do I have Ray on the line? Or Magner?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me get the other one now, and
Yes.
let's go. All right, good. Do I have everybody? Is Ray there now?
I'm back.
All right, good. Hey, this is the first time that we've got three at the same time talking. Okay, finish up Ray so that we can pass it to Magner, and then we'll go pass it to Breach. Go ahead, Ray.
Oh yeah, so I did call the senators. I think I called their Austin office, and I
hmm
got somebody on the phone. I left a statement. I hope that does make some type of impact. I don't know what it does with our Republican senators, but I just hear you and different other people with a platform say, call your senators, call your
Yes.
representatives. I didn't call Al Green because he's got a lot on his plate, but I'm pretty confident in his stance on this particular matter. So
I will be calling all
I
of
might
them as
not.
well. Don't worry about it, Ray. You've done your part, and I'm going to be calling to stay on the line, Ray. Let's go to Patrick. Patrick, come on in, my brother.
Well, on that, I've yet to get a response from Cruz from anything this year, over 100 emails. But what I wanted to let you know is, yes, it's always been our policy that if somebody denies us access to oil, that is an act of war in our mind. And I believe that we're the only country in the world that has that policy.
Right.
Now, what can get really interesting is that we have pipelines that go through Canada that connect us with Alaska, and there's absolutely nothing that says that Canada shouldn't or can't close the border to Alaska. So it's quite possible that soon the only trade with Alaska that we'll have is through the air or by sea.
Yeah.
And that's going to make living in Alaska almost impossible.
And you know what? Maybe we have to get a taste of that, right? But like I said, we have to be careful to see what it triggers. Even if we find what Trump is doing illegal, Trump and his administration, well, the United States in general, never obeys the World Court. They never follow the directives of the World Court or anything of that sort. But hold on a second, Patrick. Let's give because we're at 5 minutes. Stay on the line, but let's give Bridge a chance to say her piece as well. Bridge.
Hi, everybody. I too was taken back by Lee's thing about the green card and going to jail, and he'll be fine with that. And I was typing this into the chat, and I decided to call. And first of all, I don't know when they came out with a green card holder who's a terrorist has to be deported. Never heard of that. It may have been something that they just made up now, or it's something that changed. I don't know. But my dad was a green card holder, and till he died, so was my mother. I became a citizen, but my father was a green card holder and very involved in Northern Ireland, and was supposedly arrested for gun running for the IRA, fled the country for 2 years, international manhunt every day in the newspaper, front page, and he decided to give in, and he went to Scotland Yard and gave himself in. And they celebrated so much getting him that they left him alone for 2 hours alone, sitting there in a room, open door, with his suitcase. So he got up and he left. Now, nobody escapes from Scotland Yard.
Wow.
My father just walked out the front door, got a plane, went to Canada, came to New York, and gave himself up in New York. It was a long trial. I mean, a year and a half long trial. In fact, his lawyer was one of O.J. Simpson's lawyer, funny enough.
Wow.
And he won the trial. He was set free, and he was not deported because he had a green card.
There you go.
So this kid protesting, and he has a green card, and they want to deport him, and so they smack on that he has ties to Hamas to get him under some terrorism law. It's crap. It's all a lie. So no, Lee, it's not fun to rot in jail for doing a protest, which is free speech. That's ridiculous. That's all I wanted to say, really.
Thank you, Bridge. These guys are completely out of their minds, and you know what? That's why I keep saying we have to engage. We have to engage. All right, give me a closer, Ray. You guys are going to be closing the show today. Give me a quick 30 seconds, Ray. Hold on, Bridge. I want you to give a closer too. Give me a closer, Ray.
We need to also be mindful. Yeah, we need to be mindful of our trans community here in Texas. There is a bill floating around that's trying to literally criminalize being trans, calling it a form of fraud. So I know if you have any representatives here that are against that, I would get them on the phone. That's my closer.
Thank you. Before I go to Patrick, I want to make a statement. King Delia is saying Medicare cuts are not coming. Again, I can't help that you are gullible, my dear brother or sister King Delia. I can't help that you're gullible or that you have your head in the sand, but I cannot be out here lying to the listeners that I have. I can only tell them the truth. And I can only say that what you're saying is a categorical lie by putting on that Medicaid is not being cut. Stop causing panic. Medicaid is being cut, and they've all said it, not only in behind closed doors, but otherwise. Patrick, give me a closer.
Okay, I'm going to lecture you. This morning, Brian called in, and he was critical of you being critical of the United States because it needed to improve. And he said that because of people like you, we are going to become like China. And then he brought in his mail order bride as a example. She's definitely a mail order bride. I would bet any amount of money on it. She's a product of
Patrick.
human trafficking. But let me get past that. While he's saying that she was taken against her will and everything, and he was saying that things are so great here, your follow-up should have been that somebody yesterday that had every right to be here and did nothing wrong was disappeared by the president of the United States. It is happening here right now.
And Patrick, that's why we need the audience. That's why, because I can't think of every comeback at all the time. If we had more time, maybe you would have called in and said that. But you're absolutely right. Even after the program, I didn't even think about saying that. But now you have that in my psyche. I will the next time. Very good move, Patrick.
What are they? I want to know what they're going to do with the. What are they going to do with the Trans Am cars? What are they going to do with the Trans Symphony Orchestra? Are they going to ban that?
I have no idea, but
it's funny. My last thing to say is that I am from upstate New York. I think Lee didn't grow up, had lived here too, not far, well, a little west of me. But I don't think I'm going to be affected, but I may be affected if they shut off the electric. Either way, we're being warned of a 50% raise. I can't pay $300 a month in electric bills, but I'm not mad at Canada at all. You know who I'm mad at. But these things are having real effects, especially Social Security. They cut off my Social Security. I can't pay my mortgage. That's my paycheck. It's my money. You can't take it from me. So I think if they did that, it'll be a revolt.
Look, guys,
right, guys. Have a good
thank
one.
you
Thank
so
you,
kindly
guys.
for calling in, everybody. I'm ending the call, but thank you so kindly. All right, folks, we got to get out of here. Before we get out of here, I don't have a lot of time. I want to ask you to please support the program. Today, I'm only going to do one ask. Please, if you have the wherewithal, please become paid subscribers of our newsletter. And to do that, you can go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you become a paid subscriber, you get a chance, you get the option of reading all our books. All 5 of my books are out there on Substack for our paid subscribers, and all subsequent books that we write will be there for you to read. So we're asking for a little bit, and we're always giving back. Thank you all for being here with us. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.